Hey guys, I decided to do a video about my aquarium's sand waterfall. And if you've seen some of my other videos, which aren't narrated in any way, you'll know that I have a 28-gallon bow front with a Aquavista Aquatics Yosemite escapable sandfall in it. From the guys, here, Aquavista Aquatics, and I've recently decided to upgrade to a new aquarium that is a 44-gallon corner pentagon, and at the same time make use of their new sandfall kit, this Sutherland Escapable Sandfall, which is actually designed for, I think, a smaller aquarium. So I'm going in the opposite direction, whereas before in my 28-gallon I had a Yosemite, which was, I think, designed for bigger aquariums, but they didn't have anything else that was better. Here it is. Actually, I still have the Yosemite parts here. I'm going to try to compare them here shortly. I know that maybe isn't fair to the Yosemite, but I will say that I loved the Yosemite kit. It worked out great. You can take a look at how it ended up in my 28-gallon, but the focus of this is going to be the Sutherland, the new one. This is their new kit designed for smaller aquarium with smaller pieces, and everything is a little more streamlined. So we'll get right into it here and open the box up. There's instructions, and I will say that this is a slightly different box of parts. They sent me, these people are wonderful, Aquavista Aquatics. They sent me extra parts because I wanted to try some different things, and I was also missing some pieces originally, so they sent me another box full of stuff. But typically this is what you'll get. You'll get hose, tubing. I believe this is 1/2 inner diameter and 5/8 outer diameter. I may have that wrong, but you can look at the specs to find out exactly. There's something you can find at Home Depot that includes a piece for you that is, I think, about 3 feet long, and you can cut this, but if you need more, you can get it at Home Depot, I think, pretty easily. They give you instructions to, say that they tell you that you need to, out of the box, unkink this a little bit, which is, you can do that with just hot water or whatever. So I'll put that over here. And then the nozzle, they're proprietary. This is all, it looks like it's very much 3D printed material. So this is the nozzle where the sand comes out of. There's a little divider in here, I think, that narrows reduces the flow of the water so the sand can drop. And this will fit, on the outer diameter of the hose, like this, And then there's various connectors here, a 90-degree, I guess you would call just a normal connector, These are ones that connect to the actual pieces, so you take the nozzle and you there's a lock and key kind of mechanism. Very easy to use. Some various ones. This is a Y connector, which I don't think they actually include, but they gave me one. And then some more. That's not sure that part of this. Sorry. And then stuff for the suction cups, which there's several suction cups in here, so you can attach this to this piece and have it stick to the side of the glass to help you with planning and also just securing your sandfall pieces. And then there's some more pieces that are also with for suction cups. This is like a 90-degree on the corner. Trying to find one more unique one in here they have that's like at an angle. Yeah, this one. This one is like I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it's like at an angle, so you can put this directly in the corner of an aquarium with the suction cup. And then plenty of suction cups. And then I guess the main event is this reservoir, which obviously this is an arrow here. The dirt it's printed in here that shows you that the water goes this way. So your tubing will go in here to go into the reservoir, pick up the sand, and then come out the other end here and up the top to this piece. So all this stuff fits together very easily. You know, just stick it in there, stick it in here on this end, connect all the pieces, and off you go. So it's much more streamlined compared to the Yosemite. And this is going to sound like I'm trashing the Yosemite, but I absolutely am not. This is a different use case for it. And but at the same time, I can't help but try to compare it in some way to give everybody an understanding, especially if you're a past to Yosemite user like I am, and to decide if it's worth replacing or trying, you know, just trying a different configuration. I'll put this away, put this box away, and we'll look at the Yosemite parts. If you're not familiar with the Yosemite, here it is. You know, it comes with. Here is the old, or not the old, but the, you know, the reservoir for the Yosemite. You see it's quite different compared to the new one. It's you know, it's a lot taller and doesn't sit flat. It uses this type of hosing, which this type of tubing, which is pretty difficult to find. And they give you some, but if you cut it and then you're not exactly sure about what it is you need to do about it to get more, it can be challenging. But it, you know, it's screwed in here, which was cool, you know, counterclockwise. And on the other end, it had this outlet, you know, which was also like a, you know, a number of pieces just to get the outlet to work, or the inlet to work. This is the inlet, sorry. And it also used a different type of piping for it. So it needed a lot of different pieces and different types of piping to run. Whereas, you know, the new one, or I shouldn't say that, whereas the Sutherland doesn't do that. The Sutherland has all the same pieces, or actually uses the same tubing. It's very much more streamlined and a little bit smaller in general. I don't have the Yosemite nozzle to compare, but it's also smaller in general. But yeah, so my plan is to make use of this whole kit in the new aquarium. I'll show a little bit of the process with building. You know, this isn't too much like rocket science. It's basically you put this in your aquarium, connect all the pieces, to connect your pump, and off you go. But I'll show maybe some of the steps to how I hid, you know, once this is all in there, how I hide all the plumbing and the reservoir and everything like that and get it to work. And yeah, that's it. So this is the sort of a test run, dry run of the Sutherland kit. As you can see, I've got a pump here. I'm also testing a different pump because I didn't like my old one. So it's obviously attached to the front of this tank, which is probably not where it's going to be. There's arguments for where you want to put your pump for this thing. So the kit does not come with a pump, so you have to provide your own and make sure you have the right connectors to connect to the system and the tubing. So you can see it's connected to the system, to the reservoir, and then, you know, on the back end we use all the different connectors that the kit comes with for the tubing to go up and into the reservoir. And what I will say right out of the gate, I know this sounds like I'm bashing the Yosemite, but the setup for this is so much easier because of the suction cups and the lower profile and the, I guess, streamlined pieces where we're using the same tubing everywhere. The pieces are all plastic, so they float. So if you got a full tank like I do, it can be kind of a hassle to have pieces floating around on you. So that's much better. The pump I picked is a weird, random Amazon, Chinese generic thing that I think has it's probably underpowered for this, but we'll try it when I get some sand in here. I like this type of pump because it has an outlet that you can turn upside down and outlets on the bottom. You can see where the water comes in from the top, so gravity helps give it a little bit more push, I guess. You can obviously put the pump anywhere you want to. and there are arguments for having a pump up higher and all that kind of stuff, but I always like my pump down near the bottom. And also, with a higher intake, you're not accidentally intaking sand at this point, because sand for pumps is a bad mix. So anyway, this is about it here for setup. Very easy, very straightforward. I'm going to get some sand in here and then we'll see how it goes and adjust. Again, this is very temporary. It's just to test the kit out and make sure the pieces all work, and make sure that whatever I have in plan will have in store will actually work out. And the moment of truth here is I'm going to plug this pump in and we'll see how it goes. Take this plug and plug it in. So there we go. Look at that. Right out of the gate, the pump is working. Sand is being taken in and coming out of the nozzle. I'll talk quickly here because this is literally the first time I've run this pump. And this pump is actually, they sell it as a filter, a powerhead filter. And it's rated at 700 liters, which is 185 gallons, I believe, per hour. And I was unsure if a pump that weak could do this, but as you can see, it is doing a great job. With these generic pumps, if you decide on whatever type of pump you have, I would say that, whatever they're rated at, who knows, you don't really know until you get it in hand. But I think that anything that claims to be 150 or higher is worth trying. And you don't need, obviously, as much as you might think you might need to make this thing run, make the waterfall run. So this obviously works, and the next step will probably be doing the fun stuff, the hardscape, to hide all this plumbing, all the wires and the pump and the reservoir. And I'll show a little bit of that, but not a lot, because I don't want to reveal what my end product really looks like until the very end. Keep you guys watching, right? But yeah, already very pleased with how this is working and how easy it is to put up, to set up and test quickly. Yeah. So I wanted to show the process for how I build my rockscape around my waterfall, both the Sutherland and the previous one, as I mentioned and shown before, my Yosemite sandfall from Aquavista Aquatics. And for the Yosemite, all I really needed to do was build a wall that was, tall enough to conceal all the piping and also support the nozzle at the top. And I decided to reuse that again, and basically I'm using the same wall, but it's now going to perform as maybe the contour for my sand waterfall. So the sand will traverse down the wall in some way, and I have to patch up a lot of the holes that were in the original wall. And I wanted to show kind of what I do the process I go through to do that. And it's basically, the rocks that I have. And for example, this is not the wall, obviously. This is just some pieces that I'm going to probably use as part of the wall or part of the scaping or whatever. But as you can see, some of this is already together, and it's just a combination of cigarette filters that are opened up. I get the fibrous material out of here. Put that aside here. And of course the rock and super glue, the liquid super glue specifically. And for instance, you can see what, this is several pieces of rock that have been already adhesive together. So for example, if I wanted to do, this piece glued to here,
all I would do is, hopefully you can see this, I just take a little bit of this, I stuff it in here, you know, and you know, tweezers help. Smaller piece here, and stuff it in here. And there are YouTube videos that show you how to do this in detail, but not a lot of them. And I thought I'd show one that does it as well. You can also use rubber bands to kind of hold this all together, but I'll do this real quickly. And so once it's in place, you sort of stuff it in there. Now you add some glue, and all you have to do is just sort of dabble it in there, and the filter will soak up a lot of it and immediately create a bond. And you can use this method to patch up a lot of holes that you have, which is what I'll be doing with my wall, but also using the same process to increase the size of the wall and the contour, so to speak, of the wall. So once it's in there, you let it soak and you let it dry, and you can use, obviously this is just rest and it'll dry just fine, but you can also use, you know, like a rubber band if you got some really complicated stuff to, you know, sort of rubber band it together so that it doesn't come apart, you know, something like that. And that's the process I used to build the original wall for my Yosemite, and what I'll be using to increase and improve the same wall for the Sutherland, which I'll be going to the next step here soon with once it looks like what it looks like. I'm not going to show that now because I kind of want to do like a reveal of what that actually looks like in the end, but this is part of the process. And you know, one of the reasons why I like to use this method is because it works really well with small pieces, and I know the silicone is a really good alternative, but it takes a long time to dry, and it's also a bit messy. So this dries very quickly, and in fact when it gets wet it dries even faster, it seems like. But one thing you need to be worried about is that this reaction between the super glue and the cigarette lighters, you can actually see it. It almost gives off like a visible gas. So you want to do it outside and don't breathe it in. I think it's, whatever it is, it's really nasty stuff. So I'm doing this outside, obviously. And basically what happens when I put it on here and let it dry, I usually would just go away and come back a little later. But that's, even so, it's a pretty quick process to build I built a pretty massive wall, and I'm pretty excited to get into doing the Sutherland and adding pieces to it. I enjoy the process, but this is part of it, and that's it.
So here it is. It's been a few weeks since it's been set up, but this is the final product. Went from my 28-gallon bow front to this 44-gallon Pentagon, and using the new waterfall, the Sutherland. So do a quick scan of everything here as I kind of talk through it. Some new stuff here. This is obviously happening right around Halloween time, so you know, some temporary seasonal decorations, right? Get a little closer here, and we can see how the waterfall turned out. Get it to focus, and as you can see, the flow is really good. The sand flow is really, really great. The rock wall is now basically, you know, the contour of the waterfall. So all the sand goes down in there and makes its way back up. And you can't see any of the plumbing from this angle, or even really from any viewable angle. You know, the Pentagon makes things a little weird, but you really can't see anything. So it turned out really well, in my opinion. I already have some ideas for where this is going to go next, so this is not the total end product, but for right now it is the Sutherland running in a 44 gallon, running very well. The pump is back here. You can kind of see it back behind some of the decor. It's ended up being like, I think, a 425 gallon per hour pump. That's plumbing goes under the sand. But yeah, quite pleased. Way to go, Aqua Vista.